And interestingly, both the jiva, the living entity, and prakriti, the material nature, both are controlled. There is a set pattern that is governing it. In the human form of life, one takes birth, then there is growth, then he stays for some times, then he produces some offspring, and gradually he becomes old and dies. So that cycle is there. That system is there. No one can reverse that. So the jiva is controlled, and so is nature. Nature is also having a cycle, a complete cycle. We have different weathers. After winter, then there is fall, and then we have summer, and after summer we have rains, and after rains again we have winter. So everything is in a very perfect order. So who is that order giver, or who is the person who is controlling both the jiva and the prakriti? That is called Ishvara. So these are the basics of Bhagavad Gita. It talks about jiva, it talks about prakriti, it also talks about Ishvara, the controller. And also very interestingly, Bhagavad Gita talks about karma, that the living entity in this human form of life, that the action he performs. So today we will discuss about karma. Kṛṣṇa is speaking in this section of Bhagavad Gita that we are discussing about the intricacies of action. That how the action which is done without knowledge, it binds the performer, the jiva, to this material world, which is called karma. But also Kṛṣṇa will speak about the art of performing action that does not bring reaction, but rather frees one from reaction. That is called akarma. So very, very interesting, very relevant to all of us, that if we can learn this art of performing action, which is without reaction and which elevates and liberates us. That knowledge is given exclusively in Bhagavad Gita. So we'll begin with the prayers and then we will discuss this section today. Om Ajnana Timirandhasya Jnananjana Shalakaya Chakshurun Militam Yena Tasmai Shri Guruve Namah Shri Chaitanya Manobhishtam Sthapitam Yena Bhutale Swayam Rupa Gadamayam Dadati Swapadantikam Vandeham Shri Guru Shri Yuta Padakamalam Shri Gurun Vaishnavanscha Shri Rupam Sagrajatam Sahagana Raghunathanvitam Tam Sajivam Sadvetam Savadutam Parijana Sahitam Krishna Chaitanya Devam Shri Radha Krishna Pada Sahagana Lalita Shri Vishakhan Vitamsya He Krishna Karuna Sindhu Dinabandhu Jagatpate Gopesha Gopika Kanta Radha Kanta Namostute Tapta Kanchana Gaurangi Radhe Vrindavaneshwari Vrishabhanu Sute Devi Pranamami Hari Priye Vansha Kalpatarubhyascha Kripa Sindhu Bhayevacha Patitanam Pavanebhyo Vaishnavebhyo Namo Namah Jai Shri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Shri Advaita Gadadhar Shivasadi Gaura Bhaktivinoda Hare Krishna 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 Hare 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 Ram 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 Hare Hare Namo Vishnu Padaya Vishnu Preshaya Bhutale Srimate Bhakti Vedanta Swaminiti Namine Namaste Saraswate Deve Gauravani Pracharine Nirvishesha Shunyavadi Pashyatya Deshatarine. Hare Krishna. Welcome everyone for this session of Spiritual Scientist, where we are discussing both the spirit, that is the self, which is eternal, and the science of how to come to that platform or to that stage where we can realize that we are not temporary, we are the eternal spirit. That process, that transcendental process to come to this level of realization and application, so that science is being taught in the Bhagavad Gita. So actually, Bhagavad Gita is the perfection of spiritual science. Just a brief recap to what we have discussed so far in this chapter. This chapter is the part of the first 6 chapters, which encompasses upon the Karma Yoga. Kṛṣṇa has spoken Bhagavad Gita in 18 chapters, and the first 6 chapters he puts yoga means connection. So how to spiritual realization is through performance of action. Very significant in Bhagavad Gita, Kṛṣṇa condemns not to give up one's prescribed action. Very famous verse is Karmanyeva Adhikaraste. So Kṛṣṇa in Bhagavad Gita does not advocates or recommends that one renounce action, but rather Kṛṣṇa teaches the discourse how to be renounced while performing action. That is the art. Not to renounce action, but how to be in the renounced consciousness while performing action. So the first 10 verses, Kṛṣṇa spoke about this transcendental knowledge, this Divya Gyan which he is delivering to Arjuna is not new. It has been there since the beginning of the human race. And Kṛṣṇa speaks about himself, that how he is beyond the material creation, and how by knowing him in truth, the confidential part, the tattvas of Kṛṣṇa's appearance and actions, one can be liberated. So in the first 10 verses, Kṛṣṇa speaks about the history of this knowledge, and also Kṛṣṇa speaks about his own transcendental nature. And then from the last section that we discussed, from verse number 11 to 15, so Kṛṣṇa is the creator and culminator of all paths. He is the one who creates everything, and he is the one who has put everything in proper perspective. But for different people, how he responds differently. And even though he is the creator and the culminator, he is impartial. He does not favor anyone, or he has no aversion with anyone. He is impartial. And although he is the creator, he is the non-doer. That was very significant. Non-doer means that he is not attached to his creation, and also he is not affected by his creation. The results do not affect him. Kṛṣṇa spoke in the 13th verse that he has created 4 divisions, Chatur Varnam Maya Tishtam. And this division of the society based on the Varna is based on the qualities and their actions, not based on Varna. And then in the next line he says, Tasya Kartaram Apimam. Although I am the creator of this system, Vidhi Akartaram Avyayam. Yet I am not affected by it because I am the non-doer and I am impartial. So this knowledge or this transcendental position with which Krishna creates. Although he is the creator, but he is unaffected by his creation. So that Krishna will explain in this section that we will discuss from today, from the 16th verse, how to perform action which is free from reaction. So Krishna will speak about karma, which is to be performed in connection. So that is the karma yoga. And so Krishna will speak about one who is situated in knowledge, and backed with knowledge, he performs the action. So that action itself becomes the cause of his elevation and liberation. So Krishna will speak about this Nishkam Karma. How to perform action which frees one from reaction. Very interesting and very, very secretive, very confidential aspect. So we will begin with the 16th verse today. So Krishna says, Krishna will speak about some terms it will be new for us. We will try. Karma kim karmeti kabiopi atra mohita tatte karma pravakshyami yadgyatva mokshate shubha. So the first term that Krishna is using is that karma. Kim karma and kim akarmati. So two terms are coming here. First is the term which is karma. So in normal course, what we understand by karma? Karma means action. Whatever action that we perform is termed under karma. And also, many times we see people saying, if they are having some reversals, some difficult period in their time, in their life, they say that they are suffering from karma. No, they're not suffering from karma, but they are suffering from the reaction of that karma. So the second understanding is that action which brings reaction. That is simply understanding is karma. Or even more deeper understanding is that the system of action that brings reaction. Like we have the third law of Newton, that every action has equal and opposite reaction. And one more understanding of karma is, that is as per the scriptures, as per the Shastras, which says that karma means pious action. So Krishna is saying, Kim karmaha. So what actually is karma? And then he says, Kim akarmeti. So we know karma, but this what is akarma? So the general understanding of akarma is that one who performs no action, or one who tries to renounce action. But here Krishna is talking at a deeper level. Krishna is not talking about one who fails to perform his action. Krishna is talking about the art of performing action which brings no reaction, or which one frees one from reaction. So he is saying kim karma, that what is karma, and kim akarmeti, and what is akarma, that is free from reaction of action. Then he says kavyo api atra mohita. Mohita means one who is bewildered, mohit. And kavyo means one who is in knowledge, or the intelligent person. So Krishna is saying that even the intelligent are bewildered in determining what is action and what is inaction. Here, inaction is akarma. That is free from reaction. This is a new term for those who have not studied Bhagavad Gita before. And then he says, Tatte karma pravakshyami. And Krishna is saying, don't worry, even if you don't know what is karma and what is akarma, Now I shall explain to you what action is. Yad gyatva moksha se shubha. Knowing which you shall be liberated from all misfortune. This is the greatest fortune for all those who are sincere students of Bhagavad Gita. And by Lord Krishna's grace, we can be free from all misfortune of all our actions. Krishna is teaching that art. Krishna is uplifting his student. Through Arjuna, he is giving opportunity to everyone to come to that platform where he is eternally liberated. He is free from all suffering. He is free from all misfortune. Very, very important section of Bhagavad Gita. So now let us understand more deeply by the blessings of our founder Acharya Srila Prabhupada. So see, just by knowing the verse or just by knowing the translation is not sufficient. What actually is the inner purport or the inner meaning of what Krishna is speaking? That is explained by the Acharyas. Srila Prabhupada in this purport or the commentary will explain how to understand what Krishna is speaking. So the first thing Srila Prabhupada says is that action in Krishna consciousness has to be executed in accordance, in accord with the examples of previous bona fide devotees. So this is an example of akarma, that action which will liberate us. This is recommended in the 15th verse. So we see just previous verse Krishna spoke. He said, Guru karmev tasmat tvam purve taram kritam. So you should perform your duty following in the footsteps of those liberated souls. So how to come to the platform of inaction? Don't invent or innovate or attempt anything new. Try to follow what the successful people have already done. So your success is sure. This is recommended in the 15th verse. Why should such action should not be independent will be explained in the next two following. So there are two things. One thing is that to be free, what we have to do, we have to follow those who are already freed. Then freedom or liberation is certain. To act in Krishna consciousness, one has to follow the leadership of authorized persons. So whom to follow? Can we follow anyone and everyone? No. That will not give us the desired success or result. Prabhupada is emphasizing here, to act in Krishna consciousness, one has to follow the leadership of authorized persons. This is very important. In any section of or in any walk of life, if we want to have real success, then we have to follow the authorized person. There is no point in following what our mind likes. Our selection cannot be on the basis of what I like and dislike. It has to be on the basis of what is authorized. Who are in line of disciplic succession as explained in the beginning of this chapter. So this is how Krishna started this knowledge. He said that first I spoke and gave this knowledge to the Sun God. And from Sun God it came down in disciplic succession. So similarly, Prabhupada is saying here that authorized persons are those who are in the line of disciplic succession as explained in the beginning of this chapter. The system of Krishna consciousness was first narrated to the Sun God. And the Sun God explained it to his son Manu. Manu explained it to his son Ikshvaku, and the system is current on the earth from that very remote time. So that system, that educational system in disciplic succession, which Krishna has created, is still prevailing. It is through the disciplic succession. The disciplic succession is called parampara. In the second verse, Krishna speaks about it, that evam parampara prapta. So this transcendental knowledge of performing the action which brings no reaction. This has been there since the beginning of the mankind. And this knowledge was known through the parampara system, in the discipline, the authorized system of disciplic succession. So many times we have shared that there are 4 authorized systems. One, the first authorization is to Lord Brahma, who is the creator of this material universe, Lord Brahma. And in his disciplic succession, there are various spiritual entities, and ISKCON is also one of them. ISKCON is also one of the branches which is coming from Brahma, Lord Brahma, and then it came down from Brahma to Narada, then to Vyasadeva, and then coming Srila Prabhupada, and from Srila Prabhupada it is continuing. This is Lakshmi Devi, the and the Acharya for this season, Sripad Ramanujacharya. Just few years back, we celebrated his centennial of 1,000 years. Then the third Sampradaya is coming from Rudra, Lord Shiva. That is the third Sampradaya. And the Acharya in Rudra Sampradaya is Sri Vishnu Swami, or also we call as Sri Vishnu Swami. That is also the third bona fide disciplic succession. And the fourth is the Kumar Sampradaya, coming from the 4 celestial brahmacharis who are always eternally at the same age of 4 years. They are called the Kumaras, the 4 Kumaras: Sanak, Sanatan, Sanandan, and Sanat Kumar. And the Acharya nominated in that disciplic succession is Nimbarkacharya. So these are the 4 authorized. So if one receives this knowledge, the knowledge that we are discussing of transcendental knowledge of how to perform action which is free from death, it can only be received in this disciplic succession. So anyone who is fortunate, who comes in the disciplic succession, who accepts the authority of Kṛṣṇa and also the authority of the Acharyas, he has the possibility of receiving this knowledge. So Prabhupada is explaining here that therefore one has to follow in the footsteps of previous authorities in the line of disciplic succession. Otherwise, even the most intelligent men will be bewildered regarding what? The standard actions of Krishna consciousness. So Krishna is cautioning here that even the most intelligent is bewildered not to be able to ascertain what action is and what inaction is. The Lord decided to instruct Arjuna in Krishna consciousness directly. Because of his direct instructions of the Lord to Arjuna, anyone who follows in the footsteps of Arjuna is certainly not bewildered. So one who comes in the disciplic succession which is established by the Lord himself, as he says that he established the Varnashram system, so he established the Guru Parampara system. The eternal Guru is the Lord himself, and 4 of his authorized representatives, as I said, is Lord Brahma, Lord Shiva, Lakshmi Devi, and the 4 Kumaras. And anyone who is coming in their disciplic succession, or even one who is coming in the succession of Arjuna, he has the possibility of understanding this intricacy of the karma, the action and the inaction. It is said that one cannot ascertain the way of religion simply by imperfect experimental knowledge. So many times we experiment to try to come to the finding or to the result. But here, in this subject matter of understanding what action is and what inaction is, that will fail, that will not work. It is beyond experimental knowledge. What is required is experience. So Krishna is saying that you become a man with experience, not try to experiment. And who is the man in experience? Who understands the intricacies of the law of karma. So Krishna is enlightening and elevating through Arjuna, all of us, is don't try to experiment. Try to become experienced, be established, and accept what is being told to you through the disciplic succession. Apply your intelligence in accepting the principles and apply those principles, then you will achieve success. Don't try to experiment or try to make something new. This is the hallmark of the new generation. They want to do something new. Bhagavad Gita is 5,000 years ago spoken. The principles are perfectly applicable today, and it will be after even thousands of years ahead. So then Krishna Prabhupada is talking about that actually the principles of the religion can only be laid down by the Lord himself. This is very important aspect. So in Bhagavad Gita also we see Krishna talks about the word dharma many times. The Bhagavad Gita starts with the word dharma kshetra. The word dharma is used many, many times. Krishna focuses on the word dharma many times. And Krishna has explained in the last chapter, he said that give up all your religion. Sarva dharmani parijyate. So what is the purpose of Krishna coming? Is to establish the principles of religion. That is also Krishna says, yada yada hi dharmasya glanir bhavati bharata. That whenever and wherever there is decline in religion, that I come. So what is religion? It is explained. Religion means the order of the Supreme Lord Krishna. Simple. That is what we see even in the war, in the Mahabharata. That what is religion is what is ordered by the Supreme Lord. So, but the problem is that if we do not know who the Supreme Lord is and what is the order of the Supreme Lord, then how can we follow religion? Or how can we be religious? So that kind of religion which does not teaches us to know who the God, the Supreme Lord is, and which does not inspires us to follow the order of the God, the Supreme Lord. So that religion is called as cheating religion. Dharma projito kaitav. The kaitav dharma, cheating dharma. When Prabhupada went to the West and he was preaching, so some of the bishops of the churches, they challenged Prabhupada that why you have come to teach your religion. We are Christians, we have our own religion. You are Hindu, you have your own religion. Why you are trying to convert our people from Christianity to take to your religion? So Prabhupada answered them and Prabhupada convinced them fully. He said, no, there is no need to change religion because religion is only one. And Prabhupada gave such a convincing and beautiful definition of religion. He says religion means that teaches one to know God. That inspires one to love God and to serve Him. And Prabhupada then challenged them, show me one Christian. Show me one Christian who is following the order of the Son of God, Jesus Christ. Jesus Christ has given us 10 commandments. And the first commandment says, thou shalt not kill. So why in the Christian countries there is wholesale killing and slaughter of innocent animals? Prabhupada, show me the Christian who is following the 10 commandments of Christ. There is no need for you to change your religion, but I have come to teach you how to follow your religion. And the religion is only one, is to know and to love God and to serve Him. What experiment can be done with this religion? Experimenting means that one who is trying to have cheating religion. He wants to cheat others and rather he'll be cheated himself. So here Prabhupada is speaking that dharmam tu sakshat bhagavad panitam. So this is what Kṛṣṇa came to give us, this religion of love, of eternal everlasting love. But no one is following this religion. So that is why he had to say, Sarva Dharmani Parititya. Give up your nonsense religion, which gives, interpretation to fight one against the other. That is not religion. That is rather irreligion. So Prabhupada is speaking here in this purport. Prabhupada is saying that it is said that one cannot ascertain the ways of religion simply by imperfect experimental knowledge. This is what people are doing. Every day there is some new religion being declared. What religion is that? They are cheating religion. Religion is only one. It's to know God and to love Him. And what it means to love Him is to serve Him. And how to serve Him? As per His order. Simple. Like we are all citizens. How we are, qualified as citizens? When we abide by the constitution of the country. And the constitution protects us. If we don't follow the constitution of the country, then we are criminals. Then we are liable to be punished. So similarly, religion means to know God and to know what is His order for us and to accept it and to execute it. Simple. So one cannot manufacture his own religion. No one can manufacture religion. The real religion is given by the Supreme Lord Himself. So Prabhupada is saying this, that the principles of the religion can only be laid down by the Lord Himself. So that principles of religion is clearly and perfectly principled of religion in Bhagavad Gita. And Prabhupada quotes from Srimad Bhagavatam, which is an elaboration or the expansion of Bhagavad Gita, because Bhagavad Gita is in a very condensed, quoted form. So the explanation and extension of Bhagavad Gita is in the form of Srimad Bhagavatam. Bhagavad Gita is spoken in just 700 verses, and Srimad Bhagavatam is elaborated in 18,000 verses. So Prabhupada is quoting from Srimad Bhagavatam that dharmam tu sakshat bhagavad panitam. There is a very interesting episode in Srimad Bhagavatam where there is a character who is a Brahmana by birth, but he falls in bad association and his conduct becomes very, very poor, or rather it becomes, his character is lost. He falls in the trap of a prostitute. And then he finally marries that prostitute. And in his old age, when he's about to die, he has a son. He gets the blessing of getting a son from that prostitute. And he names this son as Narayan. That too not only on himself, because some saintly people came to his house. And when they saw the destitute of this person, so they advised him to name the son as Narayan. And at the time of death, when the messengers of death came to take him away to the abode of death, Yamaraj. So because out of fear, he called for his son, Narayan. And immediately the messengers from the spiritual world also appeared. So there is a debate. There is a discourse between the messengers of death, which are called the Yamdutas, and the messengers of the spiritual world, which are called the Vishnudutas. And there is a discussion to what is dharma. That because this person was the entire life engaged in illicit activities, he must be given to the abode of death, which is Yamaraj, and be punished. But if the Vishnu Duta said that because at the time of death he uttered the name of Lord Narayan, he has been freed from all sins. He cannot be taken to the Yamlok. And they defeat the Yamdutas and take the person who is a Jamil to the Vishnu Lok. So the Yamdutas, for the first time in their entire career or in their entire service, they accept defeat. And they are very bewildered. Like Krishna is saying here, Kim Karma, Kim Akarmeti, what action is and what inaction is, even the most intelligent are bewildered. So they go to the abode of Yamraj, their master, and they inquire from him that please give us the understanding of what actually dharma is. And there Dharmaraj is speaking this verse, very beautiful verse. Prabhupada is quoting the verse number 6319. I will share it because it's an online class. I will share it today. I will take some portion of it to understand, then I will come to the point. I'm building up the entire discussion to understand that although we cannot understand what karma is and what akarma is, we cannot even understand what dharma is and what adharma is. In the modern context, people take adharma to be dharma. And what is real dharma, they don't accept. So this is a great misfortune for the present generation. But Krishna is clearing it up through this Bhagavad Gita section. So in Srimad Bhagavatam, when this discourse is there between the Yamdutas and the Vishnu Dutas, between the Yamdutas and the Yamaraj, so they are asking. So Yamaraj, the personification of death, he is answering. This is the verse. This is the 6th canto, and the chapter is 3rd, where Yamaraj instructs his messengers. And the verse is 19, which says, Dharmam tu sakshat bhagavat pranitam nave vidur rishyo na piteva na siddha mukhyo asura manushya utascha vidyadhara charanadaya. So Dharmaraj is speaking that real religious principles are enacted by the Supreme Personality of Godhead. Although fully situated in the mode of goodness, even the great rishis who occupy the topmost planet cannot ascertain. So even the topmost sages do not know what the real religion is. Nave vidur rishyo na api deva. Deva means even the great demigods they do not know. Na siddha. Siddha means those who are perfected. Those who are perfected. Na asura, what we speak of those who are demoniac or asuras. Neither the manushya, not the ordinary human beings, nor vidyadharas or charanadas. These are in the higher planetary system. So I'll take the commentary. When challenged by the Vishnu Dutas to describe the principles of religion, the Yamadutas said, Veda parnito dharmaha. The religious principles are the principles enacted in the Vedic literatures. They did not know, however, that the Vedic literature contains ritualistic ceremonies that are not transcendental, but are meant to keep peace and order among materialistic persons in the material world. Real religious principles are Naistre Gunya. Naistre Gunya means that is without reaction, that is free from all the reaction of the 3 modes. This is what Krishna is explaining here. So please keep your focus on what the subject matter is. We are actually discussing karma and akarma. So how to understand that? One has to understand it on the principles of what the Supreme Lord is speaking. And what religion is, what is been given by the Supreme Lord. So here it is said that The Yamadutas did not know these transcendental religious principles, and therefore they were prevented from arresting Jamil. They were surprised. Materialistic persons who attach all their faith with the rituals as described in Bhagavad Gita 242, wherein Krishna says, Vedavada Partha, na anyat astiti vadina. The supposed followers of the Vedas say that there is nothing beyond the Vedic ceremonies. Indeed, there is a group of men in India who are very fond of Vedic rituals, not understanding the meaning of these rituals, which are intended to elevate one gradually to transcendental platform. I'll give you one example of this, what is being taught in this platform. Like we see celebration of Diwali. It is the national festival, the biggest festival of our country. The entire nation is involved in celebrating Diwali year after year. In our existence, every year we celebrate Diwali. But what is the ritualistic part of Diwali? There are two aspects of any festival. One is the ritual and the other is the spiritual. Most people do not have any understanding of what is the spiritual part. And they are more or less absorbed and engaged only in the ritualistic part. What is the ritualistic part? The people will, celebrate. They will light up. That is, lighting. And then they will have new clothes. They will have so many sweets. They will exchange sweets with each other. They will give gifts to each other. So everyone likes Diwali. Why? Because there is so much of exchange of gift. Everyone receives gift. So they like Diwali. So that is one ritual of Diwali. In the corporate sector, people use this occasion to try to get favors from others. How? By sending Diwali gifts. Have you seen or not? I have seen it for so many years. If they want to get some work done, this is the best occasion. How? To try to influence him by sending one Diwali gift. And later then, ask him to get a favor done. But is this the festival? No. The festival of Deepavali is welcoming Lord Ram to Ayodhya. When Lord Ram is completed his exile, his separation from Ayodhya, so welcoming Lord Ram to our heart. And how can one welcome Lord Ram? When Ravana in the heart is killed. Ravana also represents the dirt in the heart. So we have, in the Diwali, we have the cleaning drive. But what about cleaning the heart? What about welcoming Lord Ram? What about illuminating the heart with the light of knowledge? That no one is interested. And no one is thinking about. So are we actually celebrating Diwali? Are we making a show? Or rather a mockery of Diwali? This is what Prabhupada's concern is. What he's sharing here, that the mass of men, they are only on the external. The followers of the Vedas, there is nothing beyond the Vedic ceremonies. And indeed, there is a group of men in India who are very fond of the Vedic rituals, not understanding the meaning of these rituals, which are intended to elevate one gradually to the transcendental platform of knowledge. And Prabhupada quotes the verse from Srimad Bhagavatam, Vedescha sarver ahameva vedya. Those who do not know this principle, but who simply attach to the faith of the Vedic rituals are called Vedavadarata. It's a technical term. So most of the people in practice of dharma, they are only Vedavadarata. So they do not know what the principle is. First, they do not know what the principle is. And of course, there is no possibility of knowing what the real purpose of the principle is, or what the real meaning of the principle is. So herein it is stated that the real religious principle is that which is given by the Supreme Personality of Godhead. And where it is given so very boldly in the Bhagavad Gita by the Supreme Lord. He is very emphatically declaring that what the religious principles are in very distinct and clear way. So that principle is stated in Bhagavad Gita. And what is that principle? Sarva dharmani parityajya mamekam sharanam. One should give up all other duties and surrender unto the lotus feet of Lord Krishna. That is the real religious principles everyone should follow. Even though one follows Vedic scriptures, one may not know this transcendental principle, for it is not known to everyone. To say nothing of human beings, even the demigods in the upper planetary systems are unaware of it. This transcendental religious principle must be understood from the supreme personality of Godhead directly, as Arjuna is understanding from Krishna directly, or from his special representative, as stated in the next verse. And how are we understanding? We are not understanding directly from Krishna. There's no possibility. We don't have that yogam with Krishna. So we are understanding with the representative of Krishna, that is Srila Prabhupada, through his purport. So here Prabhupada is saying here that the real religious principles are enacted by the Lord himself. And no one can manufacture our religious principles. Come back to the purport of the 16th verse that we are discussing on the 4th chapter. So I just made a little presentation to get the clearer understanding of what dharma is. So that is why neither we know dharma, neither we know karma, neither we know prakriti, nor do we know about ourselves, nor do we know Ishwaran. And also we do not know the influence of Kala. So Krishna is enlightening and educating in all these subject matters very systematically in Bhagavad Gita. So here Prabhupada says that no one can manufacture a religious principle by imperfect speculation. That is what people are in this age are very much attracted by imperfect speculation. New religions are being declared everywhere. One must follow in the footsteps of the great authorities like Brahma, Shiva, Narad. I just mentioned these four personalities: Brahma, Shiva, Narad, Manu, the Kumaras, Kapila, Prahlada, Bhishma, Sukdev, Goswami, Yamaraj, Janaka, and Bali Maharaj. By mental speculation, one cannot ascertain what is real or self-realization. Therefore, out of causeless mercy to his devotee, the Lord explains directly to Arjuna what action is and what inaction is. This we will continue to discuss on this because we have just touched the theme of action and inaction. The only action performed in Krishna consciousness delivers the person from the entanglement of material action. Let us understand more deeply, so it will come in the next verse. Krishna will speak about three types of action. He has talked about two now. He has introduced two, karma and akarma. Now let us see the 17th verse, which it takes the discussion even further. Karmano hi api bodhavyam, bodhavyam cha vikarmana, akarmana cha bodhavyam, gehana karmana gati. So here he adds one more term. Krishna is adding one more term. So we have discussed to some extent about what is karma. I gave the four explanation of karma is any action that we perform or action that brings reaction or the system of action, reaction, the continuous cycle. And the fourth is any type of action which is prescribed in the Shastra, which is known as punya karma. So Krishna says, karmano hi api bodhavyam. That one who fully understand. Both means to know. Buddhi. Buddhi means who has intelligence. Intelligence means who can understand. So one who can actually understand what is karma. And bodhavyam cha vikarmana. So this is a new term. Vikarma. So one is karma, the other is akarma, and the third is vikarma. So karma I have explained. And akarma also to some extent we have discussed. Akarma means that action which is free from reaction. But vikarma is very deadly, very dangerous. It is that action which brings suffering and misfortune. That action, vikarma means that is going to bring us suffering and misfortune. So remember the theme. Krishna says, I will explain to you the art of how to perform action that you will be free from misfortune. And Krishna says, bodhavyam cha vikarmana means one who is fully aware of what is vikarma. Very difficult to know what is karma and also to know what is vikarma. Then also to know what is akarma. Akarmascha bodhavyam. So all the three aspects Krishna is describing here. And he says, Gehena karmanogati. All the three are very, very intricate, are very, very difficult to distinguish and delineate. So the intricacies of action are very hard to understand. Therefore, you should know properly what action is, that is karma. What forbidden action is, that is vikarma. And what inaction is, that is akarma. So today's discussion will be based on these three topics. The Prabhupada says if one is serious about liberation from material bondage, one has to understand the distinction between action, inaction, and unauthorized action. Another term for vikarma is unauthorized action. That action which is not prescribed. One has to apply oneself to such an analysis of action, reaction, and perverted action because it is very difficult subject matter. So Kṛṣṇa is here cautioning us that even the most intelligent, they cannot understand the difference that what is action, what is inaction, and what is forbidden action. So to apply oneself to such an analysis of action, reaction, and perverted reaction, because it is very difficult subject matter. To understand Kṛṣṇa consciousness and action according to his mode, one has to learn one relationship with the Supreme. So how one can know that? If one is in yoga. That is, one is in connection. If one has connection with the Supreme Lord, directly like Arjuna had, or even if we do not have connection with the Supreme Lord directly like Arjuna had, so we have connection with those who are the representatives of Kṛṣṇa. Those who are coming in this for authorized bona fide disciplic succession. Because they know, so if we are connected to them, there is possibility that we can also. The Prabhupada is saying, one has to learn one's relationship with the Supreme. That is, one who has learned perfectly knows that every living entity is the eternal servitor of the Lord. And that consequently one has to act in Kṛṣṇa consciousness. And this is dharma, actually. Dharma means to perform one's duty, one's karma. Very interesting. This is what Bhagavad Gita teaches us. The beginning of the dharma, Kṛṣṇa says is karmanne vadhikarasya. And Kṛṣṇa finishes by saying sarva dharmani parityajya. So what one has to do? One has to know who the Supreme Lord is, what his order is, and one has to act accordingly. So one is established in karma yoga. And when is in yoga, when is in connection, there is no question of vikarma, of performing any forbidden action. And that karma itself, because it is in yoga, it is in connection with the Supreme Lord, it becomes inaction. That does not mean that one does not perform action. That is not the proper understanding. That means he performs that transcendental action, that divine action, which does not bring any material reaction, or elevates and liberates him from the reaction of the action. I'll give you two examples to understand this. Like a soldier on the border, like an Indian soldier on the Pakistani border, or even on the China border. So the soldier, if his commander says, shoot, he kills the soldiers from the opposing party, from the enemy side. But is there any investigation or is there any judiciary process to punish him? No, he is rather rewarded. Why? Because he is performing an authorized action. His commanding officer told him to shoot, and he shot, and the soldier died from the enemy side. Rather, he is rewarded. And if the same soldiers comes to his own village or to his own town, and if he kills anyone there, using the same weapon, the same gun that he used to kill the soldier on the other side, suppose he had a dispute with someone and he ends up killing that person with whom he was having dispute, he will be put under trial. Action was same, that he shot from the same gun. But for the same action, when he performed under authorized order, he was awarded. But from the same gun, when he performed the same action of shooting, which was not as per authorized action, he is going to be punished. He is going to be penalized. Another example of the Supreme Court judge. Prabhupada gives these examples. The Supreme Court judge who gives the decision or the judgment. To someone, he can give the sentence of death. And to someone, he releases him. But the same judge, he is giving the sentence of death to be hanged to someone or life imprisonment. Is he prosecuted? No. And to the other one to whom he is freeing because of not having substantial evidence, is there any charge against him? No. So authorized action, who is the authority? Authority is the Supreme Lord and the disciplic succession and the parampara coming from him. So if we execute the order, if we perform action which is authorized, which is sanctioned by our spiritual authorities, then the same actions, they will come to the platform of having no reaction. But here Kṛṣṇa is saying, even the most intelligent on his own cannot decide. The most important is independent action is very dangerous. Either it will be karma, which will bind us to the reaction, or it will be vikarma. It will never be a karma. Pujal Prabhupada is saying one has to learn that every living entity is the eternal servitor of the Lord. We are all children of the Lord, and the Lord is our Father. So what the children have to do? They have to follow the order of the Father so that they can be happy. And consequently, one has to act in Kṛṣṇa consciousness. The entire Bhagavad Gita is directed towards this conclusion. So this is the main subject matter of Bhagavad Gita, is to bring all the misdirected soul who are performing vikarma or karma to come to the platform of akarma. This is the subject matter of Bhagavad Gita. Any other conclusion against this consciousness and its attendant actions are vikarmas. Very importantly, one who is not following the authorized actions of Kṛṣṇa, so what is he performing? He is performing vikarma. Actions which will bring suffering and misfortune. Or prohibited actions. To understand all this, one has to associate with authorities in Kṛṣṇa consciousness. So when even the most intelligent is bewildered, so how can we be in a position to know what we have to do? So that is what Prabhupada is saying. To understand all this, one has to associate with authorities in Kṛṣṇa consciousness and learn the secret from them. This is as good as learning from the Lord directly. Otherwise, even the most intelligent person will be bewildered. And then Kṛṣṇa will explain that one who is in disciplic succession, one who is following the parampara system, one who is trained in knowledge, he can discriminate. He can see the difference. That is verse number 18. Karmani akarma ya pashet akarmani cha karmaya sabuddhiman manusheshu sayukta Kṛṣṇa karma krit. So karmani means action and akarma means inaction. Very, very poetic way Kṛṣṇa is explaining this principle. He says, Karmani akarma ye pashet. One who sees inaction. Karmani means to perform action, and akarma means without reaction. So one is able to see inaction in action. It's a little tongue twister. One who sees inaction in action. He performs the action, but he is not subject to the result or the reaction, so it becomes inaction. So one who is able to clearly see what his actions will become inaction, although performing all kinds of action. And then akarmani cha karmaya. And at the same time, he is able to see action in inaction. Yet inaction means that one who falsely gives up his duty. The one who says action means that one will be bound by the result or by the reaction. Even if one is not performing his action, he is able to see both. Karmani akarma cha ye pashyad, he is able to see inaction in action, and is also able to see action in inaction. Is intelligence among men. Sabuddhiman manusheshu. And sa yuktaha. Yukta means that he is in transit, he is connected. The problem with all of us is this disconnection with the Supreme. And we see the just reverse. We see just the reverse. We see irreligion to be religion, and we see real religion to be irreligion. We see that is forbidden action to be the best action. But actually our best action is forbidden action that we cannot see because we are not learned. And here it is being said that one who can see inaction in action, and one who can also see inaction, who can also see action in inaction. So why? Because he is yuktaha, he is connected. Because he is connected, he is at the transcendental position. And Kṛṣṇa karma krit. Kṛṣṇa karma krit, he is always engaged in performing action, but at the knowledge platform, at the transcendental knowledge platform. The one who sees inaction in action, and also inaction in inaction, and also action in inaction, is intelligent among men. He is in the transcendental position, also engaged in all sorts of activities. I hope you are not confused. It is little intricate. That is why Kṛṣṇa said even the most intelligent of the builder. So what is the first explanation? But one who sees inaction in action. That means he performs all activities. He performs all duties. But even though performing all activities and duties, he is not bound by the reaction. So that is inaction. So a person acting in Kṛṣṇa consciousness is naturally free from the bonds of karma. What is the bonds of karma? It brings equal and opposite reaction. And it binds the performer to remain in this material world. His activities are all performed from Kṛṣṇa. So if activities are performed for Kṛṣṇa, how to perform activities for Kṛṣṇa? That means the fruits, the result is not to be enjoyed by self, but it is to be offered to Kṛṣṇa. That is the activities performed for Kṛṣṇa consciousness. Therefore, he does not enjoy or suffer. Consequently, he is intelligent in human society. Even though he is engaged in all, we perform all activities like you do for your own individual yours. You eat, we also eat, but there is a difference. You eat for your own pleasure or for your nourishment of the body. But we eat that which is offered to Krishna as Krishna Prasad. So we accept the food as mercy of the Supreme God. Of course, it satisfies our hunger. It also gives nourishment to our body. But there is another extra element that it gives the intelligence to understand what Krishna wants from us. And it also frees us from sinful reaction. So there is a great difference. Activity is the same, but the effect is different. And one who is eating for his own self, Krishna has already said that in the 3rd chapter, that he is verily eating sin. But one who is taking Krishna Prasad, he is becoming free from sin. So activity is same, but the effect is completely different. Akarma means without reaction of the word. So we see that, many people in the Indian society, they are called sadhus or babajis or swamis. So what they do? They do not perform any duty. Prabhupada is talking about that. The impersonalists cease fruitive activity out of fear. Why? Because they think that if they perform activity, the reaction will bind them. Why? Because they do not know that there is a higher position of performing activity and remaining free from the reaction. So because of the fear of reaction, they renounce the work itself. So that the resultant action may not be the stumbling block in the path of separation. But the personalist knows rightly his position as the eternal servitor of Supreme Personality of Godhead. Therefore, he engages himself in the activities of Krishna consciousness because everything is done for Krishna. He enjoys only transcendental happiness in the discharge of his service. Those who are engaged in this process are known to be without desire for personal self-gratification. The sense of eternal servitorship to Krishna makes one immune to all sort of reactionary elements of work. Another example can be given. Like we have the program of immunization or vaccination. So when the vaccine is given, then even if the virus is there, the effect is not there. Like everybody has been vaccinated with COVID virus. So how the immunity is coming through the vaccine? Now that does not mean that if you have taken the vaccine, then the COVID virus has been, dead all over the world. No, the virus still exists. But you have become immune. So what is the immunity? The immunity is to follow the dharma, the religious principles of the Lord. That is why Krishna declares in the final verse, that he says, Aham tvam sarva papebhyo. That I will release you from all sin and also from all reactions. Do not fear, ma shucha. Mokshasyami ma shucha. I will liberate you. So what is that liberating effect? That the action has to be performed for Krishna or his representative. That we do not want to enjoy the reward or the result of the action, because that enjoying tendency is the cause of our bondage. So what is the personal application or learning from what we have discussed? I will summarize and conclude, and then I will leave the time for questions. That Krishna is enlightening and elevating us to perform prescribed actions, authorized actions. Actions which are given by the authorized spiritual authorities, as they are the representatives of the Supreme Lord. Like Arjuna was asked to kill. And Arjuna killed also. He killed so many soldiers who were relatives, who were his friends. What is the situation of Arjuna today? Arjuna is glorified. We are studying what Arjuna is asking questions. The discourse of Bhagavad Gita is between Kṛṣṇa and Arjuna. As Kṛṣṇa is glorified, so is Arjuna glorified. So sin means not following Krishna's order. And liberation means, or dharma means, following Krishna's order. So whoever is following dharma is free. And whoever fails to follow dharma is caught. And what is the punishment? That the living entity is captivated in this bodily concept of life. The jiva is entangled within the body. And is completely helpless. That what you have to do, you have to learn from the authorities. Purva Purvataram Krita, saying that even the most intelligent of people learn. So Arjuna, don't okay, sorry. I didn't notice that I was muted. But very, very important principle Krishna is saying that even the most intelligent of men is bewildered. He cannot distinguish to know what is the difference between karma, akarma, and vikarma. And if we perform authorized action, each action will become inaction. And there is no question of vikarma. There is no question of suffering or misfortune. So every action will become a cause of our joy, our happiness, and it will liberate us, it will elevate us. Then Krishna will speak about how practically it is done. That is from 19th verse till 24th verse. Yeah, 19 to 24. That we will take next time. In the next session, we will discuss that how a person who follows the real religious dharma, how differently he performs the action. Although it may look same, but what is his mindset? What is his inner disposition? Hare Krishna. I'll stop here. We have few minutes. If you want to take the discussion deeper or to understand the concept more clearer, you can ask, you can inquire questions.
Hare Krishna, Prabhuji.
Okay. Yes, go ahead.
Prabhuji, I want to know that if a man he is not mentally okay,
A man
and
is not
if
meant to be, 1 minute, a little louder, please.
Prabhuji, if a man who is not mentally okay,
Who is not maintaining what?
he is not mentally good.
Acha, is not mentally good. Okay.
Yes, yeah, Prabhuji. And if he performs something bad action, will he be rewarded if it is counted it as action or what? Because he is not knowing that what he is doing.
Okay. Okay. Very good. So your question is, if someone in ignorance If we commit something which is not proper action, what will be his fate?
Yeah, yes, Prabhuji.
Okay. I'll give you a practical example to understand this. Every day we commute, we travel, we go on the road. To travel on the road, there are some rules and regulations, isn't it? Like a child is, driving a bike and he's on the road and he says that I did not see the light, or I did not knew that while driving I have to wear the helmet. And the traffic inspector, he stops him. What will he do?
He will charge him.
Human life is meant for inquiry. Human life is not meant for eating, sleeping, sex, and depending. That is animal life. If coming in human life, we do not inquire, then we are not fit to be in this human form of life. Get the point?
Yes,
So Krishna
Prabhuji.
has given us so much opportunity. But that is why Krishna gave Bhagavad Gita. Not to remain in ignorance. Tamso ma jyotirgamaya. Mrityor ma amritgamaya. Asto ma satgamaya. But we have to take the initiative. Just by saying, like you were studying in IRI, if the student says, I did not knew the exams will come and I did not prepare, so what? He'll be allowed to pass without attending the exams.
No.
So coming in this human form of life, we must know what is the purpose of human form of life.
Yes, Prabhuji.
And Krishna is so kind, he is explaining, he is giving each and every concept. But we don't accept that is adharma. If one follows the principle of adharma, then he is bringing his misfortune himself. Who is responsible? I am asking you.
Woman.
Himself. So we have to awaken. We have to awaken from the deep sleep, the deep ignorance that we are presently in. And just by thinking that I do not know, or I do not need to know, his misfortune and suffering can never be over. Yes, Devadatta, what's your question?
हरे कृष्ण प्रभु जी, जो 18 नंबर का श्लोक है उसमें जो सेकंड पार्ट आपने बोला एक्शन इन इनएक्शन, तो नहीं समझ आया प्रभु जी.
Action in inaction. I explained to some extent. Inaction has two understanding, I explained. One, that normal people think that a person who does not perform any action, like people say sannyasi, or he has become Babaji, ghar bar chhod diya. That means he has ran away from his duty. But any person who does it immaturely, who does not perform his occupation duty, what he is supposed to do, and he is thinking that he can be free from the reaction. Because if he performs action, action will bring reaction. So better for me not to perform action. Like Arjuna was thinking, what is Arjuna's prescribed duty? As a Kshatriya, his duty is to fight. And what is the purpose of fighting? Is to uphold the religious principles. But he was thinking, it is so trouble, my friends, my seniors, and it will bring sin. So how I can avoid the sin? Not for me to fight and leave it. So many times I've explained. So what he was doing? Inaction. He was running away from performing his prescribed action. But what was Krishna seeing this as? Krishna was telling Arjuna that if you are not performing your action, you will incur sinful reaction. So Krishna was seeing action, because action brings reaction. And what is Krishna saying? Krishna is saying action in inaction. Is it clear now? Devdatta, I'm asking you.
Yes, Prabhuji.
Your
So
voice is...
it is telling that here, if we don't do the action, it will cause reaction.
Yes. It will cause
If we
sinful...
don't do the action,
Yes.
it will cause reaction.
Yes. Yeah. Like we were discussing in the 18th chapter, Prabhupada performed Vivah
Thank you,
Yajna.
Prabhuji.
Prabhupada performed Vivah Yajna, although he was a sannyasi. Normally sannyasi will not do that. But Prabhupada was saying what? That if we did not perform that, then the welfare of this people will never happen. And he performed for them to become Krishna conscious. There is no question of reaction. So it became inaction, inaction. Although he performed the ceremony, or although he performed the ritual, but that was spiritual. So it was inaction, inaction. And here it is action in inaction. So to be able to understand both, Krishna said, even the most intelligent are bewildered. So Arjuna, don't try to act smart. Don't try to think that you know. It is warning for all of us. Okay? Any further doubt or inquiry or clarification? Yeah, go ahead.
Hare Krishna, Prabhuji.
Yes, Prabhuji.
Prabhuji, you have explained the type of karma which is prescribed in Vedas. So that is karma.
Yeah. That is karma. So that will bring reaction. So if you do pious karma, it will bring you favorable result. If you perform impious karma, it will bring you suffering. That is karma and vikarma. But Krishna is enlightening and elevating Arjuna to come to the platform of akarma. Even while performing all actions, you are free from the actions. And your action itself is the cause of your liberation, of your salvation, of your happiness, your joy. Even though performing all action, you are free from the action. That art of work, Krishna is prescribing in Bhagavad Gita. This is the real art of work. Krishna explained in the second chapter, he said, Yoga Karmasu Kaushalam. So what is that Kaushal? Here he is explaining. That even though acting, you are free from all reactions. That is the most intelligent person.
Hare Krishna, Prabhuji.
Yes.
Hare Krishna, Prabhuji. Prabhuji,
Yeah.
I have one doubt in the verse number 17. There it is written that the entire Bhagavad Gita is directed towards this conclusion.
Yeah.
Any other conclusions against this consciousness and its attended actions are bikarmas, prohibited actions. Kindly please explain, Prabhuji. In the 17, in the middle of the paragraph,
Yes, yes.
the entire Bhagavad Gita is directed towards this
Before
conclusion.
that, there is one more statement. Now, you have to take, to understand Krishna consciousness, you see, in what reference Krishna, Prabhupada is speaking this. To understand Krishna consciousness and action according to his modes, one has to learn one relationship with the Supreme. This is the point. One who has learned perfectly knows that every living entity is the eternal servitor of the Lord, and that consequently one has to act in Krishna consciousness. This is what Krishna is telling here also. This is the central point. The entire Bhagavad Gita is directed towards this conclusion. Tell me, what else is the conclusion of Bhagavad Gita? It's this conclusion. Very systematically, very scientifically, Prabhupada is explaining. Any other conclusion, he says, against this consciousness and are the karmas of prohibited action. So unless and until you come to the platform of a karma, what you will perform? You will perform only the karma. And Krishna has spoken Bhagavad Gita to liberate us from all misfortune. So how one can be liberated when one is connected? So Bhagavad Gita gives us the connection, establishes the relationship with the Supreme Lord. Then only one will act for the Supreme Lord. Na? Otherwise, why he will act? That is the central point. Okay?
Hare Krishna, Prabhuji.
Okay, I will
Prabhuji,
close here.
as stated,
Close here. It is there any question from your side? Your hand is still up. Okay.
yes, Prabhuji.
Hello?
Yes, Prabhuji. Hare Krishna. Hare Krishna, Prabhuji.
Yes, Sonika.
Prabhuji, as stated here that it was, the action which is not in Krishna consciousness, that is vikarma only.
Yeah.
That can be karma also, Prabhuji, na? Because
Yeah, but
if
if you
one is not,
that is true, but be intelligent. Na? What is karma? It will bind you, it will grind you, and it will force you to come back to receive body and suffer again. What is it? Is it punishment or reward?
that is punishment, Prabhuji.
Yeah. That is why Krishna is saying, Kim karma kima karmeti kavyo api yatra mohita. The most intelligent is bewildered, my dear Arjuna. Don't think you are intelligent enough to make the right decision. He's slapping Arjuna on his face. Arjuna was thinking that he has taken the best decision. He knows what is right for him. And he says, you are such a big fool that you are bringing your misfortune. And this is what we do throughout our life. Krishna is bestowing the greatest fortune, and we bring and we drag ourselves in the misfortune. We think we are more smarter than Krishna, or we know better than Krishna. So Krishna is clearing the misconception, and he is giving us this transcendental art of performing action, which is freeing us from reaction. Okay, thank you very much. Thank you very much for your attention, your time, and your interest to hear and study Bhagavad Gita. I will conclude with a prayer that the Supreme Lord Krishna bestows you all good fortune and intelligence to understand his principles and accept them in your life, and you become successful. Thank you very much. All glories to Srimad Bhagavad Gita. All glories to those who have assembled to study Bhagavad Gita. Hare Krishna. We will continue on next Saturday, and we'll continue further. Hare Krishna.